Well, it's stuff they don't really need. Like, do you really need that? Do you really need one little cube of sugar from your sugar cube?
Yes.
Do you need that one napkin from your...
They'll take a few grains of rice.
That sounds like communism talk.
Yeah.
It's like in a thing full of 100 grains, they take one.
And that grain of rice will like feed them for like, you know, several days because they're, you know, they... And like I said, it's amazing because, like I said, you see them going through all this preparation work. And the father character actually has these kind of really amazing electronics. He like just like a flashlight battery, some wires, one of those little watch batteries, and somehow rigged it up so he could have a little lantern when he walks around. And they of course have all these like nails and staples all over in their floorboards and stuff, so they can walk around without, you know, drawing attention to themselves. And another thing important too is that they have a dollhouse. The family has the beings have a dollhouse, and apparently this was made specifically by Sean's grandfather, because he knew the little people were the borrowers were there as well, and he liked them, so he wanted to build a house for them, so they wouldn't have to keep crawling around in the dirt, you know, trying to fight off grasshoppers and cockroaches, and but they never went in there because they were, of course, afraid of them, and this, of course, it wasn't according to their rules. And in fact, when we first see the dollhouse, and this is actually something that amazed me, is that this actually has a few badass lines in it, and a few badass characters too. I mean, the father character of the borrowers, the Pon, I think his name is. I thought it was first like some sort of slang for Papa, but it's like just Pon. That's what it's on IMDb. I'm pretty damn convinced this guy was in a war somewhere, because he is just so grizzled in this movie. It is like at all times he carries a sort of look on his face and his demeanor that, you know, I've seen so many things or something like that. Just
I've been through much, man.
Yeah, and
just came out of the trees, man.
And there's this scene where he's walking through the dollhouse, and Arrietty is like, what is this? And he's like, they call this a dollhouse. Humans use dolls like toys, and we are not toys. And it's just like, I've learned that the Pon is voiced by Will Arnett, thank you. He's voiced by Will Arnett, and I'd never seen him before, but the UK actor that got to play him was Mark Strong. And I barely know that guy, but I know he's a badass because he was the villain in Kick-Ass. So...
With Nicolas Cage.
Indeed. so
if you haven't seen Kick-Ass, get the off this YouTube video.
So really, our movies are connected, you see, by across the pond.
Oh god, that would be amazing if they did something to put these in continuity.
Like Nicolas Cage, just like Nicolas
Cage. Like in the background,
I heard you guys.
Ghost Rider goes riding by in a flaming motorcycle for one scene.
I heard you guys have a pest problem. I'm here to stop the pest. and Ghost Rider versus.
And like I was saying though, this Aunt Haruka, she is just insane. I mean, she literally walks around her house like, you know, and it's just, I guess she's looking for the borrowers, but it's just like, you seriously do this every day? And she's just, and of course she's like, you know, and it's never really clear if she wants to kill the borrowers or just wants to put on like a show somewhere so she can make money off of them, or just prove that she's not insane like she is. But I mean, she actually looks like Yababa from Spirited Away, and I think that was deliberate. And because this movie does, for a Miyazaki film, it references all these, like, you know, all his past work. And I'm going to say this right now, it makes up for Ponyo. Ponyo was an okay movie, but it was not a good Miyazaki film in the sense that it was his weakest film. And this makes up for it so much. And I should point out that I am not the biggest fan. I hate Disney. I hate it with a passion. And so I always feel like really kind of nervous going into these kind of movies. And I should also point out that I had the theater pretty much to myself. This is actually sitting here, this is a fairly accurate simulation of being in the movie theater. It was, and the only two other people were there, two girls over 18 years old, and thank God for that. And
What exactly are you saying?
Someone got lucky in the theater.
Making sure you weren't raping someone underage, huh?
No, it would have been really creepy.
thank you very much for implying that I'm a pedophile.
Hey, it's just an implication.
It's the internet.
It's up to you to
Everyone
make
is
it
an
true.
implied pedophile.
But my point is that there weren't any like 8-year-olds, and I don't think they would have really got this film anyway if there were any 8-year-olds in there. But there weren't any 8-year-olds, crying and all this stuff that like would just ruin this movie. I didn't feel like a pedophile because I wasn't like hanging around with a bunch of grade schoolers. So I was hanging around with 2 women who were clearly anime fans and clearly appreciators of Miyazaki's work, and I actually thanked them at the end of the movie. I just said, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for not making this totally worthless night for me, or not worthless night, but just like a pathetic night." But
Yeah, he totally got lucky.
I should have put the movie on. If you're out there, please look up my number, look up my name. I'm there for you.
There for them? What are you trying to tell them? What if you find out they are underage, you dumb?
Oh, come on. They both like tiny women. They have so much in common.
So is Nicolas Cage. What's your point?
So do you recommend it?
But I recommend it. But actually, like I said, Pon is kind of like a really badass character. But the single most badass character in this whole film was oh damn, I can't remember his name, but it's something like Swimmer or something like that.
Don't look at us. We're so close, right?
Damn,
Was it Nicolas Cage? Nicolas Cage.
No, it was a Native
Johnny
American.
Blaze.
No, it was a Native American. It was,
Played by.
I didn't know what he was doing there because he was like a little borrower. He was like a Native American borrower, and none of the others were Native American. They were all like they were white, for lack of a better term, or whatever. But they were Irish, I guess.
Bring in the racism.
I'm like that
man.
every time I watch an anime. Honestly, I look at the characters and I just think, are these people supposed to be white or Asian? People never look Asian in anime.
Nope.
Well, like I said, I think they were supposed
Except
to
for
be
Brock.
Irish because, and they're all throughout the film. There's like this Sarah McLachlan kind of I mispronounced that word too.
McLaughlin.
McLachlan. And
Cage.
this is getting annoying now. But there's like this Sarah McLachlan music playing all over the thing, and it's and it really adds to the atmosphere of it too. And it is a very it's a great film. Like I said, the artwork is amazing, but I got a topic, but you guys distracted me. This swimmer character, whatever his name is, he is first off, he has a little miniature bow and arrow, and and apparently is like, and it's weird too because when he like pulls back an arrow, he like suddenly gets like Super Saiyan. So he like it's like this little cloak he wears, so it's ruffling up, and it's like and his hair is just like lifting up slightly, and it's like it seriously like, it looks like he's going Super Saiyan, and also to add to this, when that cloak of his. When he like first is introduced, he leaves and he climbs up the side of this house. He jumps off. The cloak opens up, so it's like tied to like his hands and his feet, and he flies. He is gliding like a flying squirrel across the night to get to wherever he wants to go, and that is fucking awesome.
Sure, his name wasn't Rocky.
It started with an S. I don't want to say his name was Swinger because I know what you're going to say about that.
Sir Nicholas.
Shut up.
That would be awesome.
And he also speaks in this very grunty, like, "No, I go now. I leave." And he pulls out this like gradually, "Fresh now. You want to eat?" And something like this. I seriously don't get what he was doing there, but he was very awesome. And I get the feeling that this is like a TV series, something he would have been expanded on a lot more, or just. And this really should have been a TV series because it really does feel like I'm missing so much. Or just like so much I had to be sort of like imply or just take for granted. And I don't want to with this movie because it's really that good. It gives me that it gives me that warm fuzzy feeling because some of the lines are kind of sappy, but then there's like these lines that are really badass. So, and like I said, I seriously had at one point wanted to pull out a camera and take a picture of the screen because the artwork was so gorgeous. it was like this like scene where he's like the Sean character is lying in like this field of like grass and flowers, and there's like these little mountains and this brook in the background, and he's like, and there's like sunlight streaming through. It's like, oh my god, and of course there's like this this romance between like the Sean character and the Arrietty character, but it's not really like the romance like a traditional romance. Clearly she's romantically involved with this swimmer character, and Swisher? I don't know.
Swiffer?
No, but
Pick her up, her bounty.
but he's and at the very end, like you see like a swimmer giving like Arrietty a fruit. It's sort of like saying like oh I'm interested in you. Let's go out or something like that. It's because clearly he can't speak English to save or Japanese to save his life or something like that. But whatever. But but overall, this movie is is a must for anime fans. It's a must for Miyazaki fans. I'd actually recommend it even if you're not a Miyazaki fan because it's really that beautiful. It is really that good, and it's amazing because it speaks on so many levels. It's not only beautiful, it's innovative. It has like the traditional Miyazaki environmental message, and it's just I'm really glad I saw this because I was in a bad mood going into it, and now I'm no longer in that bad of mood. Except for these guys and their Nick Cage.
Hey, they have
don't mess with
the
Cage.
little black dust ball dealies that are in so many of his movies.
No.
Aww.
No, this was not the only the supernatural thing about this was that these people were really short. It was not.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, none of those Ting statues who would always shake their head and then
That was just
Princess
Mononoke.
Mononoke, but that's
Yeah.
his thing.
No, but the little dust dealies have been in like 5 of his movies.
Oh, they weren't in Princess Mononoke.
No, but they were in Totoro. They were in Spirited Away. They were in a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
But they weren't here. This, like I said, this was not meant to be supernatural. The borrowers are clear. Like I said, they're clearly human. They're just like really short, and they're having to survive. And that's the big message of the movie is like survive at all costs. Whether you're have a heart condition that's threatening your life, or if you're really short and you have to like worry about cats trying to kill you, and
That pops up in a lot of anime. I don't know if it's trying to compete
What,
or
cats trying to kill you?
No, the whole don't die thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because the high suicide rates and
and...
what it is, but that's a theme that pops up so often.
yeah, but it still works in this, and if only like I said, it is kind of sappy, and that's probably due more to the fact that the English translation than anything else. I'm sure if I watched this in Japanese, it would be even better than it already is.
Well, if you deliver the same lines in Japanese, they sound better.
But I think that's all. I think that's all I can think about at the time. But I will probably, I'm definitely going to get this when it comes out on DVD because it is. I'm a Miyazaki fan, and that's just what I do. But I'd recommend you see this, and I'd recommend you get this when it comes out on DVD. It is that good.